To solve a quadratic equation by factoring, our goal is to get a 0 on one side and factor the other side. Once the other side is in the factored form, we're going to be using the zero product property, which says if product of two terms is 0, one of them must be 0. And then solve the two individual equations we have. Let's go ahead and solve this first example, solving quadratic equation by factoring. 3n squared minus 75 equals 0. We already have a 0 on the right hand side, which is a good thing. I'm going to go ahead and factor the left hand side. Seems like 3 is a GCF. We can pull that out. We can go ahead and divide both sides with 3. N squared minus 25 equal to 0, which is factorable difference of two squares, n plus 5 times n minus 5. And that leaves with n equals -5 and +5. Because we can solve each of these individually, we can plug each of these equal to 0 by using zero product property. If product of two terms is 0, one of them must be 0. So either n is +5 or -5. These are going to be the two values of n that makes this equation left hand side equal to 0, which makes the left and right hand side equal. See the next example. This one is a trinomial. The previous one was binomial, two terms only. For trinomial, I use the AC method to factor. So the number in front of k is a, the number in front of k square is a, the number in front of k is b, and the constant one is c. So a times c, 1 times -35 is -35, b is going to be 2 here. Now we're looking for two numbers. They multiply to give me a times c, and they add up to give me b. Looks like 7 and 5 will do the job. We'll make the 5 negative so that they can add up to a +2 and multiply to -35. And I use the bottoms up method, so I'm going to go ahead and divide both of these with a 1k or just k, and this is why it's called bottoms up method. So k plus 7 is my one factor, k minus 5 is my another factor. And now we're going to plug them equal to 0 using the zero product property. K plus 7 is 0, or k minus 5 is 0. So from the left hand equation we get k equals 7, right hand equation we get k equals 5. So these are the two solutions for this quadratic equation. They will make the left and right hand side equal to each other. Another example, solve 4x squared plus 20x minus 24 equal to 0. And this equation looks like I do have a GCF. I can go ahead and divide everything on both sides with a 4 to make my life easier. So x squared plus 5x minus 6 equal to 0. 0 divided by 4 is 0. So right hand side is just 0. Again, AC method, two numbers that multiplied to -6 add up to +5 are going to be 6 and -1. We won't be able to use -3 and -2 because they multiply to give you +6 and they add up to give you -5. So they would not work. 6 and -1 would, and divide them with x. So bottoms up method says x plus 6 times x minus 1 equal to 0 are my factors. Let's use zero product property. X equals -6, x equals 1. Next example. First step would be to bring everything to left hand side, put it in the standard form. 3x squared minus 8x plus 4 equal to 0. We want to have the x squared term first, then the term with the x, and then term without x. Now we're going to go ahead and find out our a, b, and c. A is a number with x squared, b is a number with x, and c is the constant. A times c goes up, b goes down. 3 times 4 is 12, -8. Two numbers that multiply to give you 12 and add up to give you -8 are -6 and -2. Let's go ahead and divide them both with a 3x. It's just a trick. If you're wondering why does that work, there's not really a reason why we divide with 3x. If you want, you can go ahead and break the middle term. Instead of -8x, you can write -6x and -2x, and then also factor by grouping. I'll show you that in a minute as well. So now I'm able to simplify this fraction. So my first factor is x minus 2, and the next factor is 3x minus 2 equal to 0. Now we're going to use a zero product property, which says either x minus 2 is 0 or 3x minus 2 is 0. So we're left with two answers. Is x equals 2 or x equals 2/3. Again, if we did not want to use the bottoms up method, we could go ahead and once we think of the two special numbers, we could say 3x squared minus 6x minus 2x plus 4 equal to 0. and then group the first two terms together, group the last two terms together. We could factor by grouping minus 2, x minus 2 equal to 0. So 3x minus 2 and x minus 2 would have been my factors. We would be getting back to the same point. Another example, this is a binomial, but it looks like we do have a GCF here. 5a is a GCF, a plus 3 equals 0. Now, product of two terms is 0. One of them must be 0. Either 5a is 0 or a plus 3 is 0. Go ahead and divide both sides with 5, and we are left with a equal to 0 or a equal to negative 3. These are the two values of a that will make the left and right hand side equal to each other. Both the left and right hand side will be equal to each other if a is 0 or a is negative 3. Now next one, we do have equations. We have terms on both sides. We want to try to bring everything to one side. So subtract the 5x squared from left hand side. 9x squared minus 5x squared is 4x squared minus 12x, and then subtract the 3. 12 minus 3 is going to be positive 9. So this is my new equation. I don't have a GCF here, so I'm going to use the AC method. A times C goes on the top, B goes on the bottom, A, B, and C. 9 times 4 is 36, negative 12. So two numbers that multiply to give us 36 and add up to give us negative 12. They can be 6 and 6 will not work. 9 and 4 will not work. Let's go ahead and think about two numbers. They multiply to give us 36 and they add up to, let's see. 36 and let's go ahead and make a list of all the factors for 36. 1 times 36 is 36. 2 times 18 is 36. 3 times 12 is 36. 4 times 9 is 36. And keep checking if any of these will add up to 12 or subtract up to 12. 5 doesn't divide with 36, but 6 does. 6 times 6 is 36. And 6 times 6 will give you positive 36. And negative 6 and negative 6 will give you negative 12. So negative 6 and negative 6 are the numbers. It's always good to go ahead and make a table if you're not sure of the numbers and see which numbers will end up giving you multiplying to positive 36 and adding up to negative 12. So because my first number is 9x here, I'm going to be dividing both of these with 9x and 9x. We can simplify them each, and bottoms up method gives me 3x minus 2, 3x minus 2 equal to 0. So both the factors are same. When I use zero product property, we get x equals 2/3. So x equals 2/3 is the number that's going to make the left and right hand side equal to each other. Next, again, we want to put it in the standard form first. The given equation is not in the standard form. So bring everything to left hand side, put it in the standard form. Let's use the AC method. Again, we have a trinomial, A, B, and C. Negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. And we have 11 here. So two numbers that multiply to give you negative 12 add up to give you positive 11, or 12 and negative 1. We can divide them both with a 3x and 3x. So 3x minus 1, and we can go ahead and simplify the first fraction, x plus 4 equal to 0. 3x minus 1 is 0, x plus 4 is 0. We will be getting x equals 1/3, x equals negative 4. These are the two solutions for this quadratic equation. A second degree equation will always have two solutions. It may not have two distinct solutions. It could have repeating solutions. So like in example number 6, the 2/3 is a repeating solution. So both the factors were same. We would get the same 2/3 solution back. Okay, next example, x plus 7 times x minus 2 equals 0. Already in the factored form, and there's 0 on the right-hand side, so we can just go ahead and use a zero product property, which says if product of two terms is 0, one of them must be 0. So here's the two solutions here, negative 7 and positive 2. For the next example, we cannot simply say that each factor either the first factor is equal to 10 or the second factor is equal to 10. Because on the right hand side, we don't have 0, we have a negative 10 actually. And there's multiple ways you can have two things multiply to give you negative 10. It could be 10 times negative 1. It could be negative 1 times 10. It could be 2 times negative 5 times 2. Or it could be 20 times half or negative half times 20. Multiple possibilities. So these are not the only possibilities. So we cannot definitively say that either the first factor is going to be negative 10 or the next factor will be negative 10. So for this one, we actually have to FOIL here. Once we FOIL, we're going to bring everything to one side and then go ahead and use the zero product property. X squared minus 4x plus 3x minus 12 equal to negative 10. Square minus x. Negative 12 plus 10 would be negative 2. So here's our new equation. You can go ahead and use the AC method or the bottoms up method. A here is 1, B is negative 1, C is negative 2. A times C goes on the top, B goes on the bottom. Two numbers that multiply to give me negative 2 add up to give me negative 1 are 2 and negative 1. And my first number is just 1. So I'm going to dividing both of them with an x. So my factors are x plus 2, x minus 1 equal to 0. So we get x equals 1 and negative 2. These are the two solutions that make the left and right hand side equal. That was all for solving a quadratic equation by factoring.